Hello everyone, Ceri the Crafter here, that's C-E-R-I the Crafter, and I'm here with a bit of an introduction to one of my products, and I need to generate some background, some tissues, so I thought I'd take you along for the journey. Now before we start, if my voice sounds a bit peculiar or I sound a bit out of breath, I'm on the tail end of a very nasty cold, so there may be some random editing in here because if I have a coughing fit, I'm going to obviously cut that out. And also, I'm not sure how long this video will be, so if I'm doing just general cleanup stuff, I might also, well, I will cut that out as well. So, right, where are we up to? So I've got my 9x12 gel plate down, I've got my 5x7 gel plate down, and you know I use that as a palette normally before I put paint on here, because I can be a bit heavy-handed with paint. I've also got my 4-inch speedball brayer. I did pull out my bigger brayer as well, which I don't use that often, but I've got a feeling I might want to do some ombre work, which means gradients of color, and it's easier to do with a larger brayer. So that's out just in case I decide to do that. So what am I going to share with you? So what month is it now? It's now November. In October, I launched Tribal Tendencies, which is this stencil here. Actually, it's upside down if you look at that, because the little dragon man needs to be the right way. So this was a stencil I created just so that there are elements you can use as decorative pieces on other pieces of art you're using. And to launch it, I actually had a play myself, and I made this spread in my art journal book. And as you can see, I use elements of it in here. So that was why I created that. However, at the same time, I created a set of 3 wallpaper designs. So let's see if I'll put that down without really sticking. So as you can see, this is the original stencil. This is the 9x12 version, I believe. The 9x12 version. I will obviously put links to all of this in the description box below. Don't worry about that. The next one I had was... Is this one? No, I've got them out of order. Let's put that one to one side. Right, the next one was Tribal Wallpaper Style number 2, which is this beauty, which as you can see, it's pristine. I've not had a chance to play with it yet, so I'm very excited about that. This is Tribal Tendencies, Tribal Wallpaper number 3, which I'm excited to use as well. Where is the paperwork for number 1? That's what I want to know. Oh, there it is. Of course it is, because that one's on there. As you can see, I'm not quite with it, guys. The cold medication has sent me a bit loopy. So this is style number 1, which I based on like African sort of shields. However, you can obviously use it as a contemporary version of an eyeball. So we're going to be using those today. So let's take them out of here. I'm only going to be using the wallpaper designs today. I'm not using the Tribal Tendencies, which is the one with all the elements on it, because I'll use that in another video as we go along. Now, I have a project coming up, excuse me, where I need some background papers made. So I'm going to be using these 3 designs, and what I want to do is I want to make some background papers, and I want to make them on copier paper. This is the copier paper I use. It's more of a presentation paper. It's ultra smooth. I like it. It's a little bit thicker than normal copier paper. If there's anything I can say, it's been there. That's what it says as far as the weight goes. This is the name of it. And basically, I just order it on the internet and I just buy it from the internet. So that's what I use as. This is also the stuff I print digitals on as well, if I ever do digitals. I also have with me some tissue paper. This is wet strength carnival tissue paper because I like this for collage work, and I also like that for picking up detail. So you'll see some of that. And then I've actually got just regular gift wrap tissue paper, the one you'd get from your grocery store, that's not wet strength. It is very fragile when it gets wet, and I'd like to pick up some of the detail with this, because when I put these onto things like my art journal pages, if I use matte medium on it, the tissue itself will almost dissolve into the background, and whatever is printed on it will stay visible. So there's 3 different sorts of things I'm using today. There's one extra thing I do have, is I had some paint where the container got broken. It was a metallic, so I've made up some metallic papers. And if I want to pick up something interesting, I've got these as a starting block and I'll add elements to them. So lots of options as we go along. Now, I don't have a particular colour scheme, but I do have an idea. It's probably going to be more warm colours with, say, maybe Van Dyke brown in the background, maybe terracottas. There's probably going to be some black in it because I like the drama of black on stuff. So I think we just need to get started, really. Now, before I start using the stencils, I'm going to put them to one side and I want to create a few backgrounds just so I've got stuff that I can transfer that onto when I've got the colours ready. So let's pull in a couple of colours. Where's a yellow? I will try and name the colours if I know the names of the colours. If you see something that's got the name on it, even if I don't say it, I'll probably try and show it to the camera. If you see a bottle like this is what I call like an end bottle. So what I do is, say this tube was getting to the very end, I'd open the top, scrape it in here, give it a shake. So it's sort of a colour that doesn't exist. It's a mixture of other colours. And I do this quite often. I've got quite a few of these bottles until this bottle ends up nearly empty. Then I put water in it and I use it as a sort of washout solution to give me more interesting backgrounds. This cadmium yellow medium hue is another colour I really like. So I think we're going to try and put maybe a bit of an ombre down on this just to get the plate warmed up and get stuff started. I will talk as we go along, but there may be silent places as well because I do want to preserve my voice as much as I can because I'm fed up of coughing and I've lost my voice a few times. So, right. Now, the stencil designs are obviously my designs. They are manufactured and shipped from a company called PM Artist Studio in Texas, America. I design foam stamps for them, masks and stencils. Fabulous group of people. Have I not taken the lid off this? This is a new one. This is a new one. Where's the older one? Right, that's the one I was supposed to be using. Fabulous group, PM Artist Studio. I'll talk about them as we go along. They do have a Facebook group called the Makers of Mixed Media Art and Artist Facebook group. There'll be a link to that in the description box. There'll also be a link to all of my stencils, masks and foam stamps in the description box as well, because why wouldn't I? It's my product, it's my video. I'll also at the end of the video give you a discount code and a bit more information. Right, now I put them alternate sides because it makes it easy to bray out. I'm not going to use the small brayer for this. I'm going to use my big one so that then I don't get paint all the way over this. I can maybe get a reasonable brayer. I'm hoping to get it lighter in the middle and darker on the edges. If I was working in landscape instead of portrait, this would be easier to achieve because obviously my brayer is not that long. So first thing I'm going to do is just pull one off on tissue. Just get it down, pop it down, pick it back up. Now, I'm going to be showing you all of the prints at the end, and I will try and show you some as we go along, so it's giving me a nice option. I also have on the floor behind me, it's my way of working, is I've got an old shower curtain spread on my carpet because the biggest free space in my studio is actually the floor. So I tend to utilize that whenever I can. Now this is my 9x12 plate. I believe it's from Gel Press because that's where the majority of my plates are. In fact, I think that's probably where all of my plates are from, to be honest, because that's my favorite company as far as making gel plates. So it's a Gel Press plate. I'm not going to put any links to that in the description box, guys, because it's one of those things. Just search on your local websites. Keep your eye on your local arts and crafts stores because sometimes these sort of things do go on sale. So keep your eye out for them. Right, and pulling that off there. Right, that's given me a nice varied background. So let's build a couple of more. Right, so we've got the oranges and the yellows. Let's have a look at maybe putting some crimsons. And that's another one of those mix-out pots. Actually, let's use this again. I don't mind this. I quite like this pastel yellow. I don't know why I suddenly have liked using it, but I do. This time I'm going to do the ombre top to bottom. Now I still have some orange on my brayer, so let's see if I can get the most of that off, because if I don't clean my brayer completely, I'm going to end up with obviously like a peach or a coral colour. That's not my intent. Again, I'm trying to be cautious with the amount of paint I put down, because I am slightly notorious for putting too much paint on the plate, which is why we've got this little beauty, but it really works when I'm using one colour at a time. Excuse you, Mr. Paint. All right, I've got my paper, got my tissue ready. So now you can see it's easier if you've got a brayer that's almost the size of your plate. I like that. That reminds me of raspberry ripple ice cream. That's a nice thing to think about. All right, let's pull the tissue pull off. I have a feeling there's two of them there. There are. So, and then I'll go and do the paper one. So who are PM Artist Studio? The P stands for Patricia, the M stands for Mariah. They are a mother-daughter team, and I say mother-daughter, but to be honest, Brad, Mariah's husband, really is a big part of the design world as well for them. And they also have a little daughter called Izzy, who's a budding artist in her own right, I feel. I think she's going to be one of those little children to watch out for, especially as she's there with her grandmother, who is Patricia, who actually is a retired art teacher, so lots of knowledge and nurturing there for her, and her mother, who's more an illustrator, a software illustrator, although she does do beautiful artwork of her own self. So, but her job has mainly been with illustration programs. So, but everything crosses over. That's what I always say. Everything crosses over. Right, lift that off there. Yes, that's looking a bit like ice cream to me. Loving that. I wonder whether I just get that little bit on the edge cleaned off. I don't mind making the backgrounds a little bit bizarre because it purely is just a background. Now, very often, if I'm feeling not really in the mood to do stuff, and it happens to all of us, what I tend to do is I will spend time just building up backgrounds, and then I come back in later on and I work with them, and I like doing that. That's one of the things I really enjoy about gel printing, is I will just come in and just play, and I think that's a wonderful thing to be able to do. Right, I'm just going to put these two colours on here. As you can see, that's turquoise by Arteza, and this is another one of my mix pots or mix bottles. I know it's probably a little bit frustrating to you that I am doing that. However, I would always say create with the paints that you love and you have. You don't always need to go out and buy whatever the YouTube artist is using or the YouTube influencer is using. You use what works best for you. I'm liking that colour. Sad thing is it's a made-up colour, so I have no idea what was in there. Right, as you can see, I've got quite a bit of paint on my plate, and part of that is because I'm doing two pulls at a time. That one's very ocean, isn't it? I know that was a really quick flash of that colour, but it was waving around, and I didn't want it ended up sticking to my sweatshirt because it's a new sweatshirt. I like this sweatshirt. So let's pop that on there, give this a bit of a rub down. So once I've got a few of these done, I'm sort of going for sort of general sort of colours, like warms and cools, and I'll probably do a green one next, actually thinking about it. So what I'm trying to do is build up a few backgrounds so we've got something to work with. And then, as per the nature of creating stuff, we will then generate more backgrounds as we go along. There you go. See, it's starting to warm the plate up. Now, when I say warming the plate up, as you brayer stuff on, the plate sort of gets more giving. And I like that. Like the little bits of previous rolls of paint on here will come up. And this was a clean plate to start with, so that's good. Right, so I think I'm going to do some greens now. This is sage, and this is another one of my cleanup bottles. You're going to get a bit sick of my cleanup bottles, I'm sure. After this, we'll just do some single block colours. We won't do blended colours. We'll do some single block colours, and then I know we've got enough stuff to go ahead with. So if you do want to fast forward, I always say to people, I'm never going to know. If you want to fast forward, good on you. That's totally fine with me. I know when I watch other videos of other people, very often if it's a repeated process, or it's a process I'm actually very familiar with, I tend to fast forward myself as well. So feel free, guys. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. If you've watched part of my video and taken away just one little nugget of information or one hint or tip, I'm happy about that. I like that colour. You will also note I am not doing any pulls with the regular gift wrap tissue paper currently, and that is not because I'm avoiding it. It's just I wouldn't want to use it as a background piece. I want to use that for elements. I'm more likely to use it when I'm lifting stuff off the plate to give myself some nice design elements. I can't believe I've been designing for PM Artist Studio now for over a year. That's gone incredibly quickly. Liking this. We're getting a bit oldie worldy wally at the moment. Loving that. Right, that's a chalk paint. I always shake my chalk paints because you can see they separate out even in the tube. Let's see, what other colour can we put in here? I want to keep it quite light. Let's go with this. So I think what we're going to do is, we're going to open this first. If I remember right, this flows out at the end of here. So I'm just going to do some streaks of this patchy all over the place. I actually like using chalk paints on my gel plate. I've never had a problem using chalk paints on my gel plate. So I would say, however, it's your plate, your rules. Just be a little wise about what you do put on it, as far as you don't want to damage your gel plate. Basically, I tend to have a rule that if something is water soluble, it's okay to use on a gel plate. In saying that though, I have done inks, which I didn't find overly successful, but I've seen some incredible ink stuff done on a gel plate, just not by me. And that's probably because I don't use ink that often as a medium. So I'm not yet familiar with using it. I think over time I probably will. Right, I'm not going to try and show you that because that's extremely wet. And I just don't want to risk flipping it over and then it folds on itself. Now I'm not going to rebrayer that because I quite like what's happening on there. So I'm going to come in and immediately pick it up with this one, which is just a plain white piece of paper as discussed. There you go. And as this seems to be a plate that just continues giving, I'm going to put one of my metallics down here and see if I can just pick up something extra. Now, I know the paint's going to have dried quite a bit. I've still got some on my brayer, so I can sort of refill this plate after I've done this pull, which I might well do, to be honest. Give myself something different to look at. So, there you go. I'm liking that. That's getting very grungy in its appearance. One of the gold sheets. Now I'm just going to use what's left on the brayer just to pull it down. And I think what I might do is I'll come in with some bubble wrap and just pull away, like extract from it elements. And I've got some corrugated card here just to do a little bit of mark making. Pop this over the top. Now maybe not all of these will end up with those stencils on it, but I always feel if I'm going to pull the gel plates out, because I do have to change my layout of my desk to do my gel printing, if I'm going to pull it out, I might also spend a whole day gel printing. which is good for the soul, to be honest. I love gel printing. The reason I thought I filmed this today is, oh, excuse me, sniffing, is because gel printing doesn't take that much effort for me. Whereas if I was pulling other things out, I'd probably be a little bit out of breath, but hopefully you all understand that it is what it is. So there you go. So I've got some stuff on there. That looks nice and grungy as well. Right. Let's see, I quite like it. When this comes off, you have a short window of opportunity to flip it onto another page and transfer any of the paint that's on here onto another page. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare by putting one of my silver pieces of paper where my brayer off sheet is, kind of flip it onto there. You can't leave it on there too long, because if you do, you'll lose it. Right, what colour do I want? I think I want to go, let's go terracotta. This is Terracotta by Arteza. Now, I am going to use a little bit more paint than I think necessary, purely because you need the paint to get down into the stencil itself. So just brayer it out a bit so that I'm loading up my brayer. I tend to either put the paint on areas like this of a stencil or on here, because if I put them directly on here and brayer, I could push the paint under the design, which is so not what I want to do. So I am giving it a little bit of pressure, but only enough pressure to make sure that the brayer itself is in contact with the plate below. Now, I may get edges that are not perfect. I'm not overly bothered with that. Right, just lift that directly off there. Ooh, that's nice. And I'm just going to drop that down onto my piece of silver paper to one side. Now, do I want to pick that up with, let's pick that up immediately with some gift wrap tissue, which is, I've cut it roughly to size. So gift wrap tissue is the one you buy from your grocery store, your stationery store, your supermarket, whatever you call it. It is fragile. So put it down and pull it straight back up, in my opinion. Therefore, I will have a piece that I can then lay over and use in collage. Now I'm going to come in with the first yellow piece I made. I can't flip it over for you guys, because if I do, it's probably going to stick to itself because it's not fully dry. But that doesn't matter because it's wet strength tissue. So in the name, it's strong when it's wet. Let's just pull, let's show you what this is. So I laid this over the silver. As you can see, pulling that off just gives me some imagery. So that's building up almost like rivets on this one. I'm liking that. I can see I'm going to run out of floor space today. So let's just put this over the back. For no other reason than I'm cleaning my brayer and making sure it's fully in contact with, this is the wet strength tissue paper. Now lift this up. Now this is what I would call a ghost print, in that it's a second generation of the paint. And I'm liking it. And then where the thick yellow was here, it didn't pull up, it actually pulled it back off. And I'm liking that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to utilize that. This is the piece we last did with the chalk paint, and I'm going to put this down and pick it up. And I'm going to hop back and forth through all of the prints and pulls that I've done as we're working to build up layers upon layers upon layers. Because see, already that's given me a really nice effect, and that was just from the previous one leaving stuff behind. So here we are back again, had a bit of a clean up, thought you didn't need to watch that, so I just took that out of the equation. I'm going to bring in that other silver piece, and we're going to move on now to the shield one. This is the shield one, or you can use it as eyeballs. Remember, versatility, name it again. So I think I'm going to, let's see what I'm going to do with this one. Let's see, maybe use some purple, or something with a purpleness to it. Here, this is, I think this started out as something called Wild Orchid, and I think over time I actually added other stuff to it. So I think this time I'm going to put the paint down, then I'm going to put the stencil on top and then pull the paint through it with tissue. So I need a bit of powder. Probably don't need that lot, but I'm I'll stand that to one side because I never know. Horrible judge of paint me. Now this is quite a soft paint, so I'm going to have to be careful things don't move around on me. And I'm already thinking I've got too much paint on here. We may actually just be making another background. Yeah, there's way too much paint on here. I'm just going to sheet of paper. Yeah, if I don't pick up some of that paint, the moment I put my stencil on there, it's just going to slide around. What's happening with my voice? My voice is getting really squeaky. I think it's probably the week of coughing I've just done. So, right, that's a pretty colour. Let's put that to one side. We'll revisit that one in a little while. So right, I've still got paint on my brayer. Probably more than enough paint on my brayer. I think part of the problem with me and too much paint is I use a 12-inch gel press plate a lot. And in doing so, what I happen to do is I'm used to the amount of paint. Oh, there's a couple of pieces haven't come out. There you go. I'm used to using the amount of paint that it takes to do a 12-inch gel plate. And of course, I use the same amount of paint for other sizes, right? And this is the gift wrap tissue. I'm gently pressing it down with my hand to start with, just to pick up the majority of the paint. I can't spend too long doing this with tissue that isn't wet strength. And when I've got that down, I'm just going to get some kitchen paper, kitchen towel, and we're going to dab this, because if I rub it, I may end up tearing the tissue. But I just want to pick up the majority of this, because this again will be used in my collage work. It'll also get used in my art journal. I seem to be on like a wallpaper kick lately. Like when I'm designing, I seem to be drawn to wallpaper designs. So there you go. That's given me another element that I can actually use. I'm just going to pull in this silver one now. Put that down. I'm going to give this quite a good press with my fingers. I could use a Baron. This is a Baron. It's a tool for pressing things down. It started, I believe, in the ink printing business. I can use it, and I use it a lot, but for this I want to use my fingertips to get this paper, which is thicker than the tissue, down into those apertures. And let's see what we've got here. See, it just gives me another layer of interest in there. So when I lift this one off, it's going to have the layer of purple underneath it. I'm going to immediately put that onto the silver, and then I'm going to pull this one in to pick up the remaining paint that's on there, which should cause interest. I'm not looking for an exact pattern. I'm just looking for interest. So let's get that on there. Little bit of a rub. So see, I've got stuff building up on here, and I'm using the complementary color to purple, which is yellow. And that will just give me a really nice contrast. Now, where the purple goes over the yellow, I'm not sure exactly what color is going to show up. So it'll depend on the opacity of your paint. Right. Give that a few seconds. Actually, I think I'm going to retire this. I'm going to put it to one side, and if I want to do a pulling of any pattern, I might pull it through on this now, because I'm liking the way that looks. Nothing goes to waste in this studio. Everything is used for something somewhere along the way. There you go. That's a nice grungy looking one. Like the drama in that. Right, so I've got this on here. Let's see what happened with our piece of silver paper. Again, just a little bit of remnants in the background. Don't mind that. It's all adding the interest. I'm going to put this on here now. I'm putting it paint up ways. Doesn't matter which way it is. To me, it doesn't matter. Some people may like it upside down, inside out, whatever you wish to do. And I think we're going to change track and put the purple by, and we're going to put it onto this one. And I think I'd like to be really quite bright with this. I think I want to go with red. So what red have I got? Raspberry red. Let's go with raspberry red. Let's go with that whole ice cream theme. So I'm going to do the way I did in the first place. I'm going to put the paint down over the stencil, lift the stencil, and then lift whatever's left behind. I just hope I don't put too much paint on again. Are you getting sick of me saying that? Because I'm getting so sick of me hearing me say it. So, will I ever learn? That's the question. So what's been going on here? As you heard me say at the beginning, I have had an absolutely horrendous cold for the last 2 weeks. I thought I was going to break a rib the amount of coughing I was doing. Apparently here in Britain there is a really bad cold virus going around. Yes, I did test. No, it was not COVID. So thank goodness for that. Because I'd be really worried if it was. I've never yet had COVID and I don't want to start now. Thank you very much. Right, let's lay that over the gold. Give it a bit of a press with my hand. Just give it a bit of a brayer, to be honest with you. I'll show you that in a minute. Okay, some of these areas haven't actually gone all the way through, and that's because I didn't overly brayer them. This bit smudged, so I obviously had too much paint there. But this is going to go onto tissue, which means its intention is for collage, so it's going to be torn up. I don't mind that. Just use brayer to pull that out. You could get really picky and line stuff up, guys. I don't. As you can see, the plate is here and the edge is here. And I don't mind things not being lined up unless I'm creating a specific print that I want to look in a specific way. I don't mind stuff moving. See, that to me, this whole area is lovely. I would use up, even use this bit down here. And we may revisit these with other colours. I'm just going to pull in this one that we used before and see if I can lift anything off as a secondary print. And while that's thinking about itself, let's see whether we've got anything on this piece here. This was the flop off. There you go. That worked really well, didn't it? That looks like really old wallpaper. I think that one's probably going to be called done, to be honest. I think that's going to go somewhere separate. Okay, liking that. That could do with some pieces of interest added to it. Let's use this one. Just Vivid White by Pebeo. Now, there's a very fine chance that this white paint is going to turn slightly pink because my brayer's got red on it. I have brayered stuff off my brayer, but I wouldn't be too surprised if it doesn't have, well, you don't see it's coming from the edges, just a slight shade of pink. That doesn't bother me. Goodness knows how these prints are going to develop as we go along anyway. Now, it's a healthy coating of paint because obviously I'm going to pull the paint up through it. So I'm going to lay this down. I get relatively square, would be good, Griffiths. Right, lay this over the top. Now, this is regular sized copy paper for me, which I think is something like 8 1/4 by 11 and something. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's not American sizes. American letter size paper is bigger, so sometimes my paper doesn't go all the way to the edge of the stencil, but I'm the one who chose these sizes because I would rather the stencil went past the edge of the print. Okay, liking that. It's interesting. Right, this is the tissue paper that we made from the same print. So let's come in and just pick this up. Now this was, what was this? This was wet strength tissue paper. So I'm just going to come in and press this down so it goes right down into the apertures of the stencil, and I'm going to pick up whatever's down there. Now, this is just one way to use the stencils, guys. Well, a couple of ways to use the stencils. I will very often lay the stencil onto maybe one of my art journal pages, and I'll use a sponge and sponge paint through them to get it in specific places. How are we looking here? Ooh, liking that. That's got that weathered sort of look I was looking for. So I need to, I've got enough paint on here for another pull. I think I need to pull another piece of gold out, well, another piece, and I'm going to flop this over one onto the other. There you go, that'll transfer that. Now I've got stuff on here. Have I got something I want to put that on? Actually, I'm going to risk it. I'm going to use that purple one that was an accident. Well, not so much an accident. Ceri just not being conscious of how much paint he's using. Right, because this paper is not 100% dry that I've just put on there, I am taking a risk. Because paper is layers of fibres, it could tear when I lift this up. So fingers crossed it doesn't, but just be aware if it does, that is the reason why. So let's just see where fate is taking me on this one. I'm going to have to take this a little careful. I don't want to just yank this off the page. Well, I think fate's with us on this one. That's interesting. That looks like lace. Loving that. I always think that it's really interesting that the cleanup sheets are very often better than the print you're doing. I'm just going to pull in a piece of the gold because I've got plenty of it. This was actually a bottle of gold paint that arrived broken, and actually there was a silver bottle that was split, and I didn't have jars to put it in, so I thought, right, so I stood around for about an hour and just gel printed everything I could find, gold or silver, just to use it up. Okay, not upset by that. It's just got little bits. That will go over into the paper pile. Doesn't need to be picked up immediately. Right, I've now got enough paint on the sprayer to actually just get this down here. I think what we'll do, as this will activate the paint that's already on the plate, and we'll just pick it up with something. Right, this is a bit of that green tissue we created. Yeah, it's one thing about gel printing, you can never make just one print. No matter how good you are, you will always have cleanup prints. You'll have other bits on the go. I don't mind wrinkling. Wrinkling will actually add extra detail to the plate underneath. Let's see what this pulled up. Ooh, pulled up very little, but it left some really nice stuff down there. So let's take a look and see what happened to the gold that I actually laid the stencil over the top of. Hopefully I've not left this too long. Ooh, I have. See this tearing here? This is actually the paper. I left this too long on the paper. You've got to be so careful with this. Now, if you do have this happen and you're worried that you're going to actually ruin your stencil, just put it into a bowl of water, and then what will happen is the paper will just dissolve itself back off again. But it's not going to hurt the UPO. UPO is 100% polypropylene. Is it polypropylene? It's poly somebody anyway. Plastic, but it is a biodegradable plastic, which is why we like using it. So, but there again, we've got some interesting stuff on there. Again, it's a cleanup sheet. It doesn't bother me. Right, where am I up to here? Right, I think I need to just put something on there to retrieve this from the plate. So that's white. Let's have a little bit of this orange on here. Just a bit. Just enough to skim over the top and probably pull it. You only really need a thin coating if you're trying to lift paint underneath. You don't need little grains of paint stuck in your plate there. I'm just going to put tissue on this one. Lay that over the top, give it a bit of a rub. I'll leave it sit for a few seconds, or maybe a minute or so, because it's wet strength tissue. It's not going to tear when I pull it up, so I'm quite happy about that. Right, let me have a quick look around and see what I've got going on behind me. Right, let's see how this did. Yes, that's cleaning up the plate nicely. I don't mind their stuff being left on the plate. I don't. At this stage, it's all about creating textural that's visual. There you go. So I cleaned the plate off. That gives me a good starting point for something. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cycle back through the stencils, and I'm going to use them in what I call a kissing technique. So I'm going to put the pattern onto the gel plate, and then I'm going to lift off sections of it onto some of the existing prints. So I'm going to use this colour called Process Magenta by Daler-Rowney System Acrylics. It's not one I've used that often because it's a bit pinkier than I actually like, but you know what? Someone out there will love it. Someone out there will love it. And I'm going to go back to, let's call it the eyeball one, shall we? Oh, I need to put this down, don't I? Let's put it down so that paint is up. There you go. And I'm just going to brayer this through it. So I'm loading my brayer up. I'm coming out. I'm not pummeling down into this, guys. I'm not forcing the paint to ooze under the edges. Now, when you've got a brand new stencil, it's going to automatically have a stickiness about it. And if you're using it on a clean plate, it's going to stick to the plate. However, if you don't clean your stencils, when they build up layers of paint, there's a good chance they may move around. Okay, so just be aware of that. I tend not to clean a stencil unless it's got little tiny apertures in it that are likely to get covered or filled in with paint. I'll just do that bit up there because it's missing. Right, do I need to flop this over? Let's flop this over onto the one that already tore, but this time we won't leave it on there for long or too long. Now, word of warning. Every stencil except a metal stencil, and even metal stencils can be damaged. If you abuse a stencil, you lose a stencil. Okay, so just be aware of that. Right, I'm going to come in. I'm just going to touch sections down to give me that sort of image. And I'm just going to systematically work my way along some of these prints, not focusing on where I'm putting it, literally just picking up stuff to create backgrounds. And I think this one is going to be the cleanup of the whole thing. So yes, if you manhandle your stencils, whether they're UPO, whether they're plastic, whether they're paper, whether they're cardboard, any stencil, if you abuse it, you're going to damage it. If you damage it, you lose it. So just be aware, be careful with your stencils. They are giving you fragile images, but to be able to do it, they need to look fragile themselves to start with. Right. Okay, I think we rescued that one. I'm liking it. I'm going to leave that as it is. As I said, this is collage fodder for me, and I quite like that sort of in the background. Eventually, this could have something over the top, but I think this one's now done. Not bad for a cleanup sheet. Right, let's see what we pulled off here. God, it's getting dark out there. All right, let's see if I can just lift that little bit off there, because it looks like it wants to come off. Right, that's an interesting background piece. What I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce some brown. This is just another nondescript brown bottle. I'm going to do the same technique again. I don't even mind if I don't brayer the whole stencil. It'll depend on the amount of paint I got as to how far it goes. It's a nice chocolate colour, isn't it? It's making me kind of hungry. Not that I'm a huge chocolate person, but there are times when I do like chocolate. It's funny, everyone thinks I'm a little bit weird because I don't like chocolate cake. I don't know what it is about chocolate cake. I don't know how to qualify that, because, I mean, I have eaten chocolate cake in the past, and it's down to the recipe of the chocolate cake, not so much chocolate cake in general, but I'm not a huge chocolate cake fan. It doesn't float my boat, to be honest with you. I like a nice ginger cake. I like carrot cake. Things like that work for me. Don't know, my sister, however, absolute chocoholic. She loves her chocolate. This is the tissue. I'm just going to pick up patches of this. Again, you can see I'm just not caring where I put it. I'm going to come in and, again, just touch it in areas. See, that's what I'm looking for, that really aged look. Right. This was that cleanup one we just did, so I think we're going to pick up this entire thing with the cleanup one, and then that will clean the plate for us for the next one. Right, how am I doing for... Ooh, we're getting up close to an hour. Maybe some mark making that's not with stencils, because I think we've all seen them in action now. I don't want people to get bored, especially when they're such lovely stencils, and I really want to play with them more, but I could go on all day playing with this lot. Oh, forgot to pick that off the paper. See? Again, loving what that's doing to that. This would probably need more, but it's not having more today. Let's put this stencil out of the way. Right. Yes, I think what we'll do is we've got one more stencil to go, actually, that I just want to put another colour onto things. And then we're maybe doing a little bit of mark making over the top of some of these to give them a bit more punch. See, that needs something, but it's looking lovely as it is. I want to come in now. I don't mind there's other garbage on there. That's fine. What I do want to do, however, is I think I'm going to do black this time. And I'm going to use this pattern here. I think what we're going to do is, am I going to put it on as I did before? Yes, let's do it that way. I was humming and hawing whether to put black on the plate or whether to put black through the stencil. I think we're going to put it through the stencil. Right, just pressing that down my hand to make sure it's in contact. Now, where's Mars Black? Right, I'm using Mars Black. I should have bought more black. Okay, we're running low on black then. But there's always options. Like I did say, I was going to be using Van Dyke Brown. And actually, I might just add a little bit of Van Dyke Brown to the black, because they're as near as darn it. I mean, I can hardly see the difference there. And then we're going to pick up some of this. Oh, let's pull that gold piece in to do the flop off. Is that brayer gone? Now, as I first start, I'm basically skimming over the top. It's doing two things. It's actually making sure that the stencil fully is in contact with the plate below. It's also giving a thin coat of paint to the whole design so that I'm not just forcing paint down and under the stencil. Now, I don't mind if it moves around a little bit with this, because I'm not looking for perfect prints. I'm looking for the design. Right, let's lift that off there. That's looking lovely anyway. Let's lay that down on that bit of gold. Oh, talk about dirty hands, Griffiths. Right, we've got enough here to pick up several. Now, I don't know whether you remember this. This was a bit we picked up the yellow with. So I'm just going to kiss that down there. A little bit along there. I think a little bit by there needs something. There you go. Want this bit of green to have some across it. Bit of a stripe through the middle. Have this one that was a bit of a flop off before. Now this is that purple one that went a bit lacy. There is no way I'm going to match the pattern up, so I'm not even going to worry about matching it up. I'm just going to put something on there. This was the last piece we did, that orange bit, a bit down the side of there. Sorry, I promise you I will show you these at the end. It's just a lot of this has to be done while we have a chance before paint dries. And believe me, black dries really quickly. Right, this was that orange one. I think we're going to use the orange one as a cleanup. Now, I've got more black paint down here than I need. That's fine, because what I'll do is I will just use some bubble wrap or something to put some mark making on the lines. Right. Didn't get a lot off that, but I've got something off that. Maybe I need some stripes. Let's grab my favourite, which is a piece of corrugated paper, a cardboard from packaging, and I think we'll use that to actually put some black stripes on some of these. I quite like where that went. Let's leave that one as it is. So, right, I've got black on here. Let's freshen it up with a little bit of Van Dyke Brown, just to give it a bit more something for me to pick up. Oh, my Van Dyke Brown is nearly out. Ooh. Right, you can go away. I will sort you out after we finish filming. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just bray this out evenly, and then I'm going to pick up each of these prints, and if I think it needs something, like I think it needs something down there, I'm just going to come in and add it. I think that'll do. Right, I'll just put this one aside. Right, there's this one, and it was this area here that I wasn't overly keen on. So let's just pick up some of this, pop it down on there. I like to balance things out by putting stuff in either the opposite corner, or if it's at the bottom, I put it at the top. Loving that. This is the one we just tickled up. I like it, but I'd like something down here. And I think I want to do some vertical stripes on this one. I'll just come down and put a few more in there. We'll take a really good look at these in a moment. Now, I really liked this one, so I'm not going to reload this paper, this cardboard, but what I am is going to use just the remnants that's on it, just to get like a secondary something off it. I really like that one. Right, this one looks a bit busy to me, but I do think I want to put something in there. And it could be that this gets another coat of something in the future. To me, that's looking a bit busy, but it could become something. Right, this is the one that I tried putting something in there. So let's see if I can manage what I was trying to do this time. Yes, that is kind of what I was trying to do last time. Just put a piece in there. This one was of interest, but not enough. It needs a something. And I think that there needs something. Should have spotted this one, didn't I? I think this needs, don't like the fact it's got a line along there. So if you can't hide it, reveal it, enhance it, make it look like a feature. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the video for a few seconds so I can have a clean up, because I'd quite like to come in with some white dots on some of these, and obviously I've just got black on the plate, so we need to look at getting some white on the go. So bear with me, I'll be back with you in 2 seconds, guys. Okay, so I'm back. As you know, going from black to white is, well, you're dabbling with danger really, aren't you? So that's why I needed to stop and give us a good clean up. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use bubble wrap, because it wouldn't be Ceri without bubble wrap, would it? I'm just going to, oh, that's a nasty sound. I've got a new one of these. This is nearly out. Right, that's a heck of a lot, but I do have quite a few prints I want to add to. So I'm just braying it out. I don't mind my brayer being loaded with paint, because it means I can refuel it if I need to. So this was one of the cleanup gold ones we flipped over. Right, I'm just going to use some paint as glue, and I'm going to stick that bit down. Why not? Because I've got it in front of me, and I'm just going to pick up some white and add elements to this. Not huge, just enough to disguise any little tears in it. And there's a little tear there, but I'm not worried about that. This one has some obvious patches in it, so I'd like to fill those in a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfect. I think it'd be more interesting if they weren't there. Fill a little bit at the top as well, just pull that whole design through. I'm liking that. Okay, this is one I've kind of struggled with, to be honest with you. Don't know why, it's just, I like it, it's just I don't like it enough yet. This is the one that I said looked a bit like ice cream. I think that needs a little bit there as well. Right, I really did like this one, and I want to try and enhance this shape here a bit with the bubble wrap. So let's see whether I can be a little bit creative. I got a little bit up there to disguise that we didn't print everything. I think a little bit more down there. Don't ask me why I do things the way I do them, guys. I literally trust my instinct and go with my gut. Now this one looks very busy and complex, but I've got a theory that if I put the white dots on the front, it will actually knock everything into the background. And I don't mind because I said it's going to become a collage paper. I want to be careful with this one because I like this one already. This one I think is a bit like the other one where I need to enhance or work on that area there. And this is just regular packaging, bubble wrap. Goodness knows, I think every package I get nowadays has bubble wrap in it. Right, I want to use the bubble wrap now just to break that straight line. There you go, just a little bit up there. I'm hoping the light's not failing for you because it's getting very, very dark here. We've had a very stormy day here in, well, we've had a very stormy week, to be honest. We've had torrential rains. It's just not been a pretty sort of week, to be honest. So that'll do. And there has been quite a bit of flooding here in the UK. My heart goes out to those people who basically have lost their homes to water. And we're, what, 6 weeks away from Christmas? You know that they're not going to be spending Christmas in their own home. Our heart goes out to them. And water is just such a destructive thing. I mean, once it's not just water, everyone thinks, oh, got all that water sloshing through. Actually, you've got all the water and everything that's pulled itself up out the sewerage systems, all the mud, everything in surrounding hillsides, all livestock stuff. It's amazing what comes when the water comes, I can tell you. And once something's water damaged, it's pretty much written off. Right, this is the last one, and I think I just need a few patches on here. I think what I'm going to do now, actually, guys, because as I said, the weather is really closing in. I think I'm going to stop the video here. Okay, guys, so it's the next morning. My wish for having good daylight has happened. As you can see, the sun is just starting to creep across my desk. It's about 8:30 in the morning, so I'm like, really need to get this done before the sun comes here, because then I can't film till after 12 o'clock. So the prints we made, I did a bit of a count up. We made 20 prints in this video, just for the techniques we use. I did notice, however, I forgot to make one of the gift wrap tissue prints of I call it, what is this one? Basically, I forgot to do one of these, so I will have to do that after the video is finished. But I just want to do a quick flick through to show you what we did. I've got a little bit of information to tell you, and then we're done. So now I've done this on gift wrap tissue because, as I said, when I put this into my art journal in sections or collage, when I use a matte medium on it, the background tissue almost disappears into the background. That was the one I did with the shield one. And as I said, the other one should have been done, but I obviously forgot. I got carried away. This is on wet strength tissue. So again, I can use this in my journal, my art journal. However, any white bit would still be slightly visible, but I intend using pieces of this anyway. I really like this. I like how this turned out. And you saw them created here, so there's no secrets. You saw how I did it. This one I really, really like. And it looks a bit of a hot mess, but for some reason, I actually really like that one. I'm hoping the video picks up the subtleties in this one. Again, this one I think might have been a bit of a clean-up one that we did, where I was pulling elements out of other ones, but I like it. It's meant to be for collage for me, so that's what the intent was. This one turned out really nice. I would never really have put this permanent magenta, I think that was, with green and black, but you know what? That works for me without looking too seasonal, should we say, because it could really veer towards the Grinch Stole Christmas with this colour, couldn't it? But really love that. This was really nice. Now, this was the one that I thought looked a bit like ice cream, remember? Because I did the ombre technique. I'd like to have had a bit of a better blend from the red into the paler colour, but to be honest with you, I quite like the fact that the shields are emerging from the darker red into the lighter. And don't forget, if you've got something like you've got a project where you need to have like that motto of the evil eye or someone watching you, there you go, you've got contemporary eyeballs. But to me, those are actually shields, African style shields. This was a clean-up one. I believe this was where I was pulling the white paint through. It's interesting. I think it needs a little more work. I quite like the shimmer I've got on this one. These kind of remind me of fish, even though they're not fish-shaped in any way, shape or form. I think I want to put something over the top of this. I might stamp some numbers or something, or actually I might stamp PM Artist Studio. I've got a stamp called, I think the set of 3 are called Twirls and Swirls, or Twists and Twirls or something. I think I've got well, I know I've got them somewhere. I've used them before. I think I might put them on there, actually. Don't know, just thinking ahead. These were the more basic ones that I did. Remember, we had the metallic sheets, and I just was trying to create something like metallic wallpaper. Like that, I like the fact that it wasn't perfect. I was aiming for not perfect. This is fine. It's a bit flat. I can't remember what the last paint I used on there was, but I think I'd like to put maybe a glaze on this to give it a bit more of a sheen. And if I put a glaze on this, it'll really make this more punchy, possibly even transparent red iron oxide, which would really amp this up a lot. This one, don't mind this actually. It wasn't what I was intending. I'm not a great user of the colour silver or pewter or greys, but that actually works for me. I could definitely see myself taking elements of that out. This was, remember that purple I did where I put probably 3 times as much purple on. I pulled it up and then I just cleaned a plate with it. It looks a bit lacy. It's interesting. Am I stunned by it? Probably not. This one I quite liked. Again, it keeps saying fish to me, and I don't know whether it's because it's on a blue background. I do think this needs a bit of black. Yeah, this could have done with a bit of black something on it, but I don't know what yet. That maybe I'll use my border builders on this, and I might take this into trims and then put elements on there. Don't know. That you might see this in the future in another video when it's finished. I don't know what it's going to be. This one, absolutely loved how this turned out. This just happened. It wasn't exactly planned. It just organically happened. I really like that. I mean, I could even use that as a journal cover. Granted, it would need reinforcing and stuff like that, but that's a really nice, I like that. That really did work for me. And this one again was one of those metallic cleanups. And for once I didn't do too much. I held back, and I like the subtlety of this. This has to have been a ghost pull of the print. And then of course with the white bubble wrap in it, but I like that. That's got a subtlety, and I don't do subtlety well. I mean, we've got some torn paper here, but that was my fault. I left this, oh, that was it. I laid the stencil on, oh, excuse me. I laid the stencil on, and then it was a flop off, and that's why the paper tore. And down here, I remember I glued it down with some paint. So this one again, I like this. This works. I can see this being made into card fronts or postcards, to be honest with you. You could even cut this into ATCs or artist trading cards. There's something really nice about that. I like the fresh feel of it. Reminds me of apples. Don't know whether it's because these are round and it's green, I don't know, and there's red in there, but it just reminds me of apples. And I particularly like this bit here. And I often say, when you actually look at your own artwork, look for elements you really like. I think I could probably do an entire background just based on that teal, green, white, and that permanent magenta. That bit there really works for me. I need to remember that. I might actually just cut that piece out and put it in my ideas book or something, because that's a color scheme I quite like. That worked for me with the black shot through it. It was nice. This one again, this reminds me of Art Deco, and I don't know why, because it's certainly not an Art Deco theme. I think it's possibly the colors of the gold and the black and this sort of terracotta. I think it might have been Van Dyke brown or terracotta or a brown in there anyway. And I really like that. That works for me as well. This one, again, back to that silver or that pewter look. I'd need to look at this more. Part of me likes it and part of me thinks it's a mess. But there is something there, and I need to look at this again with fresh eyes in maybe a week or two. There's a couple of these prints I'll put by. I won't visit them for about a week or so, and then I'll pull them back out to look at them with fresh eyes to see what I like with them and what I would do with them. But there's something about this one I quite like. This one I really like. Again, this was just me doing that kissing technique, pulling stuff up. There's dog hair on there. Biscuit, have you been in my studio again? I quite like the orange with this sort of pewtery gold colour. Yeah, this one worked for me. This one, again, it's got something, but it's also lacking something. It's a bit too low contrast for me. I do feel I want to come in here and pull this forward with something. And I think what I might do is I might come in and use maybe a red wine colour or something, just to put a design element on here to pull it forward. And this, I think, is possibly my favourite, which is very unlike me. I don't use green a lot, although I do like green, but this has that really oldie world look to it. This might just become a page. There's that hair. Yeah, that's you, Biscuit. It's a blonde golden lab pair, I can see. This might just become an entire page in my art journal. I like this. I can imagine this with maybe some script, as if the script has been put on and peeled off. Really love that one too. It's my favourite, I think. So the stencils we were working with were these three. As you can see, haven't cleaned them. I'd probably use this once more and then put it to soak. This was the other one, the one that looks like eyeballs, but it's actually meant to be a shield boss from the middle of the shield. And this is supposed to be, if this was a tall, let's turn it over, you'll see it better. If this was a tall rectangular shield, this would be the element that sat in the middle of it. I had some real fun playing with this design when I was putting it together. And it's amazing what you can be inspired by. This one was, let's turn this one over, you'll see it better as well. This to me was just a completely traditional shield shape. And it was only when I did this with it did I realise I'd created eyeballs as well. But, you know, two for one. There you go. 2 for 1 on that one. So, okay, just a quick flip so you can see what we worked with. Oh, and that's the other one that I did, which was tribal tendencies. As you can see, I turned this element to turn it into wallpaper, that element into wallpaper, that element into wallpaper. The other designs I left as they are. This could quite easily become a wallpaper design. This could become a wallpaper design. I think if I played with this element and created something that went into the middle of it, then that could become a wallpaper element. I'm going to see how you guys actually like these. And if the response is, if sales are good, let's be completely commercial about this. If sales are good of these, and I feel that it merits putting more effort into working on these elements, then I think I may create them. I'll have to talk to Mariah and see what Mariah feels. So, tribal tendencies was the one you just looked at, which is that one there. We looked at tribal wallpaper number 1, which is that one. Tribal wallpaper number 2, which was that one. tribal wallpaper number 3, which was that one. So in the description box, you will have links to all of these products, and I might put one big link in as well to all of my design products with PM Artist Studio, because I'm really proud of them and I find them incredibly useful, and as you see, I use them a lot. Now, PM Artist Studio are these guys. That's Patricia, that's her daughter Mariah. They are PM Artist Studio. Hidden designer in the background is Brad, which is Mariah's husband, and the budding artist in the family is Izzy, and you'll have to watch the streams to understand who Izzy is. They do lives 4 times a week. That's Central and American time, so you have to do your calculations. Although if you do subscribe to the YouTube channel, when they're doing a live, your time zone will be adjusted when you see the reminder for it. So I always rely on that instead of trying to do the clock thing. And if you do happen to go over and purchase anything, if you make a purchase over $35 and you put this code as you see it here into the code box at checkout, it will get you an extra 10% off your order if it's over $35. Now, 10% may not seem a lot. However, that 10% off an order when you're having it shipped internationally, having 10% off can really offset the postal balance, which is what I tend to look for it for. So hopefully you enjoyed that, guys. I've had fun with it. Thanks PM Artist Studio for allowing me to be one of your designers. It's always a pleasure. It's been fun playing with these. I'm going to try and do more videos in the future where I do play with my own products, because I tend to be relying on PM Artist Studio to do the launches, whereas my schedule for filming is quite intense in 2024, and I'll give you a Christmas update. I'm going to pull back slightly on the variety and the amount of videos I do per week, so that I can focus on more meaty projects, more projects that maybe take more than one video even. I don't know. Anyway, so that's me done for the morning. I'm Ceri the Crafter. That's Ceri the Craft. Until tomorrow. Bye-bye now.